10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well then, good morning. How are we doing? Good morning. How are we doing, everybody? Sam here, live on United People's TV. I forgot to put the banner at the bottom. There we go. What start to the show that was. How are we all doing? We're here to talk about Jim Ratcliffe. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, sorry. We're here to talk about his interview with the Financial Times yesterday, his live Q&A session where he did talk about Manchester United. And for the first time, we've heard straight from the horse's mouth that he has a desire to buy Manchester United, and the fact that he would have bought Manchester United if it was up for sale this summer. He also said that he had spoken to the Glazers and they were proper gentlemen. I didn't like that bit. And he said that they have told him the club is not for sale. But when has a billionaire being told that something isn't for sale meant that they've just, oh, okay, it's not for sale. All right, carry on. Okay. It literally, the title of that session yesterday was Leading Through Disruption. Anyway, we're going to speak about everything that Jim Ratcliffe said. I'm going to run through his full interview, which has been covered and transcribed by The Athletic. We'll run through that this morning. I did a video last night on my thoughts. Okay, my thoughts on the situation. If you want to check that out, that's on the channel, and that went up last night. But it's an opportunity for us to speak about it live in the comments this morning. We'll speak about that. We'll speak about the upcoming protests from the 1958, which have been confirmed for Newcastle. We'll speak. Look, I'm going to just have, as I always do, just an open and honest conversation with everybody down here in the comments. Good morning to you, Carl. What are the members we've got down here? We've got Michael Parsons. We've got Freddie Matfield. Good morning to all of you. Jordan, Vicky, I can see there. Al, Anthony, Amy, Times End, Rofizal. That's cool. I haven't seen that before. How you doing, buddy? Charlie Hughes, Fizz. We've got Ant there. We've got T there. We've got Josh there. Dylan. Lots of you down there this morning. How are we all doing? I'll be honest. This interview yesterday, we spoke about it in yesterday morning's live stream, didn't we? And I was like, I'm not really expecting too much from Jim Ratcliffe. I expected a sort of a political answer. You know, you kind of skirt around the actual topic rather than speaking about it directly. But he was asked absolutely directly and pushed by the interviewer for whether or not he would be interested in buying Manchester United. So what I'm going to do here is let's run through the comments. Obviously, the headline here, in my opinion, the big takeaway from this is not a negative one. And I'll be honest, right? I think I find it a little bit tough when it comes to Jim Ratcliffe, when it comes to the idea of selling Manchester United, to be completely level-headed when it comes to covering it, because I want it to happen so much. I think I look for the little positives a little bit more so than you would in just an average story. But it is what it is. I didn't expect him to come out yesterday and say, fuck the Glazers, open his shirt, and he's got a green and gold scarf on. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting him to say that the Glazers are proper gentlemen and really nice guys. You're all down here in the comments. What are you saying? Sam, you're saying, look, good day, Sam. Glazers still insist on not selling Manchester United. Now, the first thing I need to say here, and I feel like I've covered this enough, but I'll be honest, I don't think I've covered it in a specific video enough yet. I'm planning on doing this on Saturday, this video. I've been planning it for a long time, but it's not an easy video to do, and it requires an absolute ton of research. Jim Ratcliffe yesterday saying, A, that he would buy Manchester United if they were for sale, and B, that the Glazers don't want to sell. Sorry, there's a comment there that's caught my eye. I mean, dude, you cannot be more wrong. Did you watch that interview with him yesterday? He was speaking about a deal which is just about to go through worth $5 billion. A deal that I think is about to be completed with China that will make Ineos the biggest chemicals company in the entire world. They're also building something in Germany, which is in the region of $4 to $5 billion. It is honestly when I watched that yesterday, I was like, what in the world is going on? It was this dude has got money left, right, and center. He's quite literally the richest man in Britain. He has got money to buy United. And the big thing I see lots of you getting upset about here is Jim saying the Glazers have made it clear that Manchester United is not for sale, right? This, for me, this is the only thing that you really need to look at. This is Manchester United's profit and loss accounts from 2013 right through to 2022. And just look at the curve that we're on. Now, of course, COVID has played a massive role in this. Yes, absolutely. But the Glazers and Manchester United are hemorrhaging money. As a business, Manchester United is failing. And that was always the thing that, as angry as we were as fans, that was the one thing that the Glazers got right for a good few years under Ed Woodward, was the amount that our revenue just kept increasing. But Manchester United are losing money. We have been losing money. Look, our latest profit and loss accounts there is dropped now to £150 million loss. The only thing that changes this course for Manchester United is heavy investment. And that for me is the thing that I will always hold on to. I don't care how many times I hear Manchester United isn't for sale. I don't care how many times I hear the Glazers don't want to sell Manchester United, because the numbers stack up. The number, and I'm a bit of a practical person. I like numbers, I like data, and I like evidence. All the evidence points to the fact that for the first time ever, the Glazers will genuinely be considering selling Manchester United. Now, obviously, that's not come just yet. And Jim Ratcliffe, if it was obvious that the Glazers were willing to sell, he would have been in there this summer. Let's run through some of the quotes and let's hear exactly what Jim Ratcliffe had to say. Go down here. Jonathan saying that's called science. I think I'm more of a scientific person than I'm well, let's not get into that argument. But yeah, I like numbers and I like compiling evidence to prove or disprove an argument, because I think that's a good way to base a lot of your arguments in life around that sort of thing. And yeah, honestly, I think this is why I've got so much energy behind what's currently going on with the Glazers, because I can see that there is genuine opportunity here. And it's why the protests from the 58 are so important. By the way, big up to the 1958. I always say big up to 1958. They were there. Well, one of the members was there last night with a lovely, no, it's not lovely Eric Cantona. Oh, it is a lovely Eric Cantona. But no one, obviously, they keep their identities to themselves. They kept their identities to themselves when they came on the channel for the podcast. They have organized another protest coming up for Newcastle. I'm going to run through that a little bit later on, right? But let's run through the actual quotes and hear from what Jim Ratcliffe actually said himself, okay? Let's go down here. Let's read them out. This is, I'm not sure if you've seen the video. And again, I think this is because I told you at the start there, I can't look at this and be like a completely fair and impartial journalist in this situation, because I want it to happen so much. But when Jim was asked about it, the fact that he paused and laughed for like 5 seconds before he started speaking, then stopped and laughed and paused before then speaking, for me is, well, if you're looking at body language experts, he was mindful of what he was saying rather than just straight off the cuff saying what he wanted. He was mindful about it. And for me, that's a little bit telling. But this is what he had to say. He said, I'm a lifelong Manchester United fan. I was there in that most remarkable match in '99 in Barca, deeply etched in my mind. And that's the first thing he spoke about, by the way, how much he is a lifelong Manchester United fan. Again, yeah, nice. And again, a little bit telling, in my opinion. And again, I just had to reiterate here. I know I'm not. Actually, no, I'm not, I don't say it again. I just said it 4 fucking times. Manchester United is owned by the Glazer family. I've met Joel and Avram. They are the nicest people. I have to say, proper gentlemen. I suppose there's different ways of going around business, and I didn't expect him to sort of like rub the belly of the Glazers, but I suppose it might probably be a smarter ploy to do in public. They don't want to sell the club. It's owned by the 6 children of the father, and if it had been for sale in the summer, yes, we would have probably had a go following on from the Chelsea thing. But we can't sit around hoping one day Manchester United will become available. And this is, if you need a rallying call for doing what you're doing with anything to do with the 58 and the protests, this is it right there. You will not get a bigger rallying call than that. Jim Ratcliffe there confirming that if Manchester United was for sale, he would have gone in this summer to try and buy it. And the fact there that he says this, we can't sit around hoping one day Manchester United will become available. Because as he went on to discuss, he said this. That's the important part here. He was speaking about sports franchises. Now, of course, they've got a lot there. Look, you can see. Own a third of Mercedes Formula One team. Ben Ainsley talking about the sailing team that they own as well. They've got their fingers in many pies in the sports franchise world, but they want, quote unquote, a premier club. Anthony's coming up with some good comments this morning. I'm just sitting there. I'm not barking up a wrong tree. That's something that I always say. I'm just sitting there barking at a tree. Anthony, I have no idea what you're talking about there, by the way. Like if what we've got here is this is like if you want to quit your job, the idea of what you need to do before you quit your job is find a new job. We don't want the Glazers as owners, and we haven't wanted the Glazers for owners for a long, long time. But for the first time, we have somebody who A, can afford it, and B, has publicly confirmed and said that he would buy Manchester United if it was for sale. That's sad. There, he's not the dude for United. I keep going back to your comments, man, because they are just so outrageously wrong. And I've got to call people out on it because he's not the dude for United. If you want it for, who said 3 to, I mean, to be fair, I put 4 billion on the thumbnail yesterday. He was born 10 miles from Old Trafford. He was a United fan growing up. He is Britain's richest man. He tried to buy Chelsea. He has the money. He said he wants to buy Manchester United. And I feel like I'm patronizing when I'm saying it like this, but I can't lay it out any more than that. He is the guy. This is the strongest opportunity I think that United have ever had. And it's not just because Jim Ratcliffe is coming forward. It's not just because there's protest. It's because of this as well. And this is the thing. Manchester United as a business is losing money now. Manchester United as a valued brand is only going to lose value from here on in unless there is significant investment. And that has to come in stadium redevelopment. That has to come in training facilities redevelopment, as well as redevelopment of the squad and backing the manager in the transfer window every single year. That requires a significant amount of investment, which the Glazers will not fund. So the only 2 ways out of that for the Glazers are, number one, finding significant investment into Manchester United without losing power. Now, you remember that story that came out that that the Glazers offered the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia 30% ownership of Manchester United for £700 million. But the only way that they would have agreed to that is if the Public Investment Fund agreed to have zero power and zero control over any decisions. Now, of course, they turned that down and they bought an entire club in Newcastle for less than that 30%. The Glazers are begging at this point. The Glazers are doing everything. The Glazers do not want to sell. They are trying to do everything that they possibly can, explore every avenue and every option to somehow retain power at Manchester United without having to invest a fucking single penny of their own goddamn money. And that's the situation we're in at the moment. And that is why what the 1958 are doing is so damn important. Sorry, by the way, one sec. There was a super chat up there I don't want to miss. Let me quickly go back there. Jordan, he's saying, would people rather the Glazers spend money on the stadium and training ground or better players? It's not the Glazers spending money on anything, dude. If we get money for that, it's not going to be the Glazers' money. That's what I mean. They're trying to find investment somehow from somewhere, or they're going to go and sell the stadium naming rights. And they're going to use that money to then fund, I don't know, a redeveloped Carrington, which, in my opinion, is so much more important than a redeveloped Old Trafford. And I've said this a few times. Carrington is where the players spend 80, 90% of their time at Manchester United. The thing that is going to change the minds of whether players sign or don't sign for United isn't going to be a shiny new Old Trafford. It's going to be a shiny new Carrington. That's where they spend the majority of their time. That is where we have massively underachieved. Well, we were the best in class at 15 years ago. Carrington was state of the art. Technology moves on. And Carrington is no longer state of the art. In my opinion, if you're looking at one thing that's so important, I would say a complete and utter redevelopment of Carrington before Old Trafford. Now, that's an opinion. You might disagree with that because Old Trafford is in need of a complete redevelopment. But everything needs to be done at the same time. You have to prioritize. And in my opinion, the priority should be Carrington. Down there with a big dog. Who is it? Where is he? There's Ian saying, look, shout out to my dad. Sorry, I can't remember the name of your dad, but I'm going to go Ian Sr. Big up to Ian Sr., 64 years young today. Lovely. Mate, dude, you can see Spurs are in talks with Google at the moment. It's the way that it's part of modern football. You can shout about it. You can scream about it if you want. It's a significant part of modern football sponsorship. In the same way that Manchester United, we were quite modern as a football club when we started getting regional sponsors. Obviously, you got your global sponsors, your Adidas's and your Nikes and Chevrolet and whoever it was at that time. What we started doing, what Woodward started doing, that's why our revenues went through the roof. We started getting regional sponsors that are based on a per country basis. And all of a sudden, we had like noodle sponsors and tire sponsors and pillow sponsors and all these weird fucking things. But it made our revenues go through the roof. That was a bit of a modern thing to do. Part of the modern thing to do now is to sell stadium naming rights. Spotify is part of the new camp. I think the Bernabeu's managed to stay as a Santiago, but don't look at Real Madrid and think that anybody else can achieve what Real Madrid achieved. Their money is insane, but they're the ones they're pushing for the Super League. And the Super League, that's it. If we're looking at the Glazers' way out from this, it's number one, it's the Super League. Trust me, if the Super League had happened, our club would be dead. Right now, our club would be dead, and the Glazers would never, ever, ever leave. So we have to. That's the single most important thing. So the single most important thing is getting rid of them. But at the same time, if the Super League, and trust me, the Super League's coming back, and I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but it will be coming back. Version 2 of the Super League, when and how and what it looks like, I don't know, but it is a case of when and not if that happens. Barca are pushing for it. Real Madrid are pushing for it. Joel Glazer was, of course, co-chairman of the first Super League, and that is what they are going to push. And that might be a reason why they don't want to sell, because they still think, you know what, let's ride it out. Let's ride this wave out. Let's sit on this club and just drag this club into the mud, despite the fact that we're dragging this club under now with £150 million loss. Honestly, you can try and tell me anything you want. The Glazers won't sell. It's about emptying Old Trafford. And it's at this point where I'm going to try and say here that what the 1958 have done and are doing is the greatest, the most important protests, continued sustained protests that we've ever had against our owners. We've obviously had the protest before in 2005 that fell on deaf ears and they bought the club anyway. We had the protest back in 2010 and they were major because we were in the midst of winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and we were still protesting, going to show that it wasn't just about spending money and it's not just about winning trophies. It's about the fact that we want our club back. We want our club to be debt-free like it was before the Glazers came in. And 2021 was obviously the most powerful moment when we got Liverpool postponed. But what the Glazers are doing with, what the 1958 are doing against the Glazers with these sustained protests is so powerful because the noise won't ever go away. And I keep seeing it online. I've spoken to the 1958 about this at great length. People on Twitter and social media will just shout empty Old Trafford and somehow try and point the fingers at the season ticket holders. It's like you're part of the fucking problem. And it's so wrong, it's unreal. Because if you took away, if all 50,000 of those season ticket holders handed them back in and said, you know what, we don't want it anymore. You've taken the core, that fundamental core of United's fan base, and you've taken it away. That's exactly what the Glazers want. And you can come and say, oh, it's easy enough, then just boycott one game. And I've spoken about this with the 1958, and they agree that the concept of boycotting Old Trafford is powerful. But they also really, and it's worth listening to the podcast about this because it's not just as simple as saying boycott Old Trafford. You have people, fans, who plan months and months in advance and buy United supporters clubs coming from all around the country, all around everywhere, coming to Old Trafford for every game. So the idea that you're going to get all these people who might only be there once and all these tourists who might only be there once to boycott their only experience at Old Trafford because you're protesting against the owners. It's a brilliant idea on paper, emptying Old Trafford. But the scale of the organization that would be required to do that would need months of planning. I just don't think it's achievable because Old Trafford's fucking massive. And the fan base, there's so many different types of fans inside Old Trafford. I just find it frustrating that there's some sort of infighting going on, saying instead of just pointing the finger at someone saying, why don't you just, you're the problem. I bet get off your ass and fucking do something. Try and do what you can. Actually get involved in a protest. And screaming on social, and I suppose this is me, it feels like I'm kind of drawing a line in the sand, and I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm really, really not. But I just find it odd that anybody's trying to pick any sort of hole in what the 1958 are doing. Fucking hell. We've had to sit here for years watching Must do nothing because they have to play the political game because they're in conversations with United constantly. Whereas the 1958, because they've... the best thing that 1958 did, and I've got to give them credit for this, is remaining anonymous. Because without having that person's name or face associated with it, it gives them the powerful to do things that would be harder to do if there were names or faces attached to it. It allows them to be stronger. Now, I know, and I agree that more is needed. More is needed. What does that entail? That entails boycotting sponsors. There's a lot that online fans can do together. It really is. Everybody, of course, is all boycotting merchandise. I mean, you know, all the stuff that I've given away here on United People's TV, I've never bought it from the Glazers. I never have and never will do. But I just find it, I don't know, I find it really weird and strange that at this moment in time, honestly, and I'm not just saying this for the sake of it. Right now, we have the greatest opportunity we have had since 2005 to get rid of the Glazers. And it's not just because we want to get rid of the Glazers. And I've tried to explain these to you right now. Economical situation in the UK is probably going to be playing into it. The fact that Manchester United is now losing and hemorrhaging money and the Premier League is getting so hyper-competitive that substantial investment is required year on year. And the Glazers don't have the money for that or won't spend the money on that. We need to have significant redevelopment outside of the team, and everything's aligning. All the stars are aligning, right? I just don't see why. I find it strange that people don't just want to unite behind the same. It's like finger pointing. It's like, no, what you're doing is better. The match going fans are part of the problem. It's weird, man. It's really weird. I'm going to read a few comments out here. I'm starting to get annoyed. In my opinion, the only way to succeed in this battle is to attack the foundations, the commercial revenue that make United an attractive final asset. And they've done that themselves. We're losing money. We have lost money on a quite a wide scale. Now, of course, the 1958, the COVID has had a significant impact on that. But this needs to give United fans more energy. The idea that the Glazers won't sell, it's going to be their cash cow. We had to take out a fucking overdraft, an extra credit facility this year to pay their dividends. There's no cash for them to take. They literally had to take an extra loan to pay the dividends. They are just like last line of defense at this moment in time. Before they have to go, you know what? We've exhausted every single option. Super League didn't work. This didn't work. That didn't work. Fuck it. We're going to have to consider selling. We are getting towards that stage, in my opinion. And again, that's an opinion, right? That's an opinion. And I know that. Pete, you're saying, look, it's never going to be officially up for sale. It's no good saying, I want to buy United. Why does he not put his money where his mouth is? It's a lot of money to put your mouth in. It's not just a case. It's not like walking into a shop and trying to buy a pair of jeans, mate. The amount of due diligence that's required. I'm not sure if you I don't mean in this patronizing way to you, but when it comes to due diligence, if he was to buy Manchester United, there would have to be, for a club of Man United's scale, you probably get a due diligence period of about, I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 7 months, I think, where all the accounts will be looked through, so to make sure all the numbers stack up and match up and all the cash flows are correct, and the scale, the time scale of it. Even if he was to go right now with a 6 billion bam on the table, it would take a long old time for him to own Manchester United because of the size of the club. Night Owl, you're saying, I think people should go to the games holding up Glazers Out signs, so that's what the media can cover. You make it sound like that's not happening, dude. That is happening. Manchester United are actually actively, they are actively muting. Again, this is a video that I need to do, but I need help. I need people to help me with research for these videos because I'm so busy on a day-to-day basis that doing these sorts of videos takes a lot of time and effort. They really do. That's probably why nobody does them, apart from me. But I want to do something on that one as well because it feels like they're trying to censor the protests as much as possible. And it feels like Sky, BT Sport a little bit less so. What else are we saying down here in the comments? Sam, you're saying, look, my opinion, the Glazers are banking on the Super League to resurface again. That's where they, of course they are. I don't know. I reiterate, if the Super League happened, our club would already be dead. Our club would already be dead. Marion, what you're saying? If Haaland had a petition against him, let's do a petition against. Was there a petition against Haaland? A petition won't do anything, Marion. Unfortunately, that is not going to happen. I mean, it might happen, but it won't cause anything. We've got a prospective buyer. We've got a set of owners who are losing money. We've got an economy which is really uncertain. Everything is aligning. All I'm trying to say is get behind what the 58 are doing. That's the movement that United fans really need to support. And loads do, man. I was there for the Liverpool protest, and it was fucking great to be in that protest, active protest against the ownership. Was wonderful to see that many United fans there, and it was. I don't think I understood the scale of it because you're in it, but it's now more than ever is what I would say with the Glazer Out protests. Previously, it would have fallen on deaf ears, but now there is real, genuine energy and possibility of them selling, and it's coming from both directions, not just because of our fan pressure, but because of how they've run the business into the ground. Michael, you're saying, Sam, I think empty the stadium is possible. Don't need to do it for the whole game, just the first 10 minutes. Dude, it's so simple to say on paper. It's so simple to say like that in a comment. I cannot tell you how difficult that would be to organize on a scale. You would need it. Every single supporters, you need the TRA working. I mean, obviously, the TRA and Must and 58 would work together, but you're going to be talking about, even if they absolutely nailed that, somewhere between 10 and 20,000 inside that stadium, which means the majority of the stadium is still full. How do you get all 50 other thousand of those people together to go and boycott it? I don't know how. I have no idea how you would do it on a mass scale like that. The scale of it is almost unprecedented. And obviously, people have compared it to the Milan situation, and I compared it to the Milan situation, but it's kind of a fair point from one of the 58 is like Milan is quite a regional club. The majority of Milan fans are from Milan. And the idea of that boycott was a little bit easier to achieve. I know that something else needs to happen, but the idea of emptying and boycotting Old Trafford, and I think the thing that's annoying me is that people just seem to be pointing the fingers somehow at fans that go to a season ticket, because there's 50,000 season ticket holders, right? It seems that they are not the people to be pointing the fingers towards, and I will defend them, and I'm not just defending them because I am one. I just find it odd that of all the things that are going wrong, you're going to point the fingers towards the fans and say they're the problem. It's like, fuck. Weird. Really, really weird. Right, there's a couple of super chats here. Let me read. There's one, actually, only one. DJG, we should all unsubscribe. I mean, that's not going to do much. I think, again, the 1958, I like the way the 1958 operate. When it came to the sustained emails that they sent, I think they got over 20,000 emails got sent out to Sky, when they sent out that generic reply. It's just, I find it frustrating. I think I find it frustrating because we've got a man right there. We have Britain's richest man who actively wants to buy Manchester United. It's how do we allow him to, and as I said, what a billionaire being told that they can't have something has never stopped a billionaire. That's why they're fucking billionaires. Typically, they're assholes. Sometimes you get good assholes. I think Jim's a good asshole. I'm not calling it out, but you know what I mean. No, at no point in a billionaire's life has he ever been to. It's a bit like trying to tell a footballer they can't have something because they can't afford it. They can afford it. He can afford it. He can afford United. But it's whether or not he's gonna mount that bid. Let's find out, eh? But I don't know. I just find it confusing. I find the in arguments confusing. I find a lot of everything that's going on with United right now and the ownership confusing, and it just pisses me off a little bit. Right, John, how you doing down there? You saying, look, protests are definitely working. They have to continue. I think so as well. I really, really do. Let's have a look. What else are you saying down there? You need to get around 40,000 out. It's not a tough one to do. It's a mind-blowing amount of people to have to get them to all walk out the exit at the same time or to not walk in at the same time. The scale of it is huge. The scale of it is huge. Huge, huge, huge. Look, I've been ranting for half an hour here on it. Because I don't know, it feels like a bit of ranty stage. I think the reason I feel like I'm ranting is I shouldn't have to explain quite a lot of this. Everybody should be on the same wavelength and everybody should be thinking in the same direction, but they're not. I'm not like pointing fingers at anybody in the comments here. It's I just find it really odd. And I find it so, so, so weird that anybody can, with any sort of energy, try and drag season ticket holders into the mud and say that they're part of the problem. Oh, it's so easy. Just hand them in and you can boycott the game. It's like, it's such a fucking ignorant thing to say. It really is. And it's not based on any sort of logic or thought process. It's just an immediate thought and just regurgitate it out. And I think it just really pisses me off. Handy, you saying, what do you think is stalling Jim? I don't know, if I'm honest, because he knows full well Manchester United is for sale at the right price. He absolutely knows that. And as I said, no billionaire has ever been told they can't have something if they've got the money for it. They'll go and get it if they want. I'll be interested to say, so he said he wants to buy a Premier club. It's obviously a part of what Ineos want to do. Their sports franchise, man, they're so rich, Ineos. It is insane. They want a Premier sports franchise. Well, it's Premier football franchise. So if it's not Man United, who else could it be? I don't know. On the level of Manchester United, I mean, he's not going to be able to buy Liverpool. You can't buy Chelsea now. Arsenal not for sale. Bayern Munich's not for sale. Real Madrid's not for sale. Barcelona's not for sale. Juve, Inter. Could do Inter, I suppose. Actually, was it Inter? They got new money. You're saying, look, Sam, a lot of sponsors reach us via United Socials. Yeah, I know, man. For every 3,000 unsubscribe, there's going to be 3,000 more. And I'm not saying that to undermine the concept of it, but it's too large a thing to do to expect any sort of significant impact. That's why what the 58 are doing in choosing like an individual with an email and going after it there. Focus yourself. Focus on what you're doing online in a smaller way rather than large scale. Just press unfollow. That's a huge concept. And by doing that, you're spreading yourself too thin and you won't be able to have the impact you think you might be having. Man, it's tough. It's really tough. It really is. Andre, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you joining. Let me know where you're watching from. Spurs, yeah, I suppose Spurs could be for sale, but good luck trying to do with Daniel Levy. You're right. We have to be united as a fan base. I mean, we have been united. Well, we have been divided for a good long while, I think. Jibak, you're saying, look, Ratcliffe already has a legacy when it comes to sports, and United will be good to have in his portfolio, but it's not an absolute. He's not. No, I don't think he'll use the word desperate. I imagine he does have the emotional attachment of being a United fan, and that again is a little bit more energy behind this. Red Devil Manchester, what are you saying, sir? I've been a season ticket holder for 17 years. Giving up isn't the answer. Someone else would always take the ticket. There are other things to do to voice our displeasure at the Glazers. Like, I'm not going to say the majority of season ticket holders, but a large portion of season ticket holders had season tickets in their family before the Glazers bought the club back in 2005. And there are some fans that would just expect them to just bin all that off. I paused my season ticket for a year. No one, there wasn't enough of an uptake on that to have any sort of impact last year at all. Boycotting Old Trafford. Old Trafford was empty for like 18 months with COVID. That didn't force them to leave. It's I think this is that's a good way to describe it. Ceramics down there saying, look, it's a long-term fight, and right now we are a few months into the best sustained fight that we've had, starting from the last few games of last season and pretty much every home Premier League game this season. I think it might have been everyone, actually. This is the best it's been. Get behind it, support it, keep fighting. Manchester United is for sale. It will be for sale at the right price. Just keep doing what you can do, man. Really. I want to speak about this because this absolutely cracked me up yesterday. Only because it was all over Twitter. I'm not doing a video on this. I'm just going to have a little conversation about the end of the video. Should we buy Kylian Mbappe? Oh, I love watching PSG and their spectacular failures. I really, really do. Dave, you're down there saying, what about Knighton and his bid to buy the club? Dude, I've spoken about Michael Knighton. I invited him on the channel. I got ignored at every opportunity. He's just a man who's blowing hot air into the situation. I think some of the hot air that he blew into the situation did actually help it. But I think he's nothing more than hot air. And you're saying it's actually the reverse. It's die-hard fans and make the most noise. And I'm trying to explain that. I really am. But there's a lot. It's I don't know. It's odd. It's strange. It's really, really strange. What's going on here? Josh, you're talking about mods not deleting all the messages that require check-in. Yeah, make sure, as something I've mentioned before here, because obviously the conversations can get a bit heated in here. It's a message to all the mods. don't just delete messages for this just willy-nilly, or don't just delete anything that anyone's saying willy-nilly. Is if there's anything that's sort of like racist or like aggressive or anything like that, then delete it. But people are entitled to their opinions, even if you don't agree with them, right? That's the main thing I would say here. But look, what you're saying about this selfish killing. I mean, it's almost like they effectively made him sporting director by keeping him at the club. It's just, I quite enjoy watching it all collapse at PSG. I really do. What else are we saying down here in the comments? Mbappe would be a great player for us. Look, he would be. We're not signing Mbappe. I think that's all we need to speak about it. I think I'm a bit done for today. We've got a new prospective owner, right? He's right there. He's sitting in front of us. He's speaking about the fact that he would buy Manchester United if it was for sale. And Jim knows that there is a price that Manchester United is for sale at. Like anything in business, he hasn't become a billionaire by just taking people on their word and going. He literally led his whole Q&A session was leading through disruption. And you're going to tell me that Jim Ratcliffe is just going to say, oh, the Glazers said it's not for sale. Fair enough. I haven't had a drink in about 6 days now, so I'm not hungover. I'm just a bit pissed off. And this shouldn't be an argument that I have to have with you. You should all be thinking in the same way. But I suppose that's what I'm trying to do. Education. That's what I'm not trying to say this in a horrible way or a condescending way. Right now, everybody should be getting behind the 58. Join the Newcastle protest if you can. Join anything they're trying to do online. Don't try and cut the legs off of other United fans by saying they're the problem by going to the games. They're United fans. They're in your corner. Everyone fighting the same way, same direction. Get your Glazers out. I'm going to be doing a video at lunch today. I've got the Omonia starting 11. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a nice video, I think, on Ten Hag and the progress we've seen in the system. And we've got Omonia tomorrow night. Hopefully another win, and then Newcastle on Sunday. It's a big one. Protest included. Take it easy.